What's up, guys? It's your girl Rose with the Spotlight DMV, and we are back with another episode of Behind the Event, where we introduce you to the people and stories behind some of the DMV's most exciting experiences. Today, we're celebrating an event that's already making waves before the doors even open. The inaugural Wineries Without Walls, sponsored by Maryland Wineries Association and organized by Narcisso Wine Cellar, is officially sold out. Listen, don't hit me up for tickets. I don't have any. It's sold out. I've been sharing this event for months now. Do not hit me up. So joining me is someone who is no stranger to the Spotlight DMV. Cyndi Campbell, co-founder of Narciso Wine Cellar, has been a friend of the Spotlight DMV family for years. And it's been a joy watching her continue to grow, innovate, and champion the Maryland wine community. And not just Cyndi, but also her co-founder, Dahlia, as well. Cyndi, welcome back, and congratulations on what's already shaping up to be an incredible inaugural event.
Oh my
Yay!
gosh, what an intro. Thank you so much, Rose, for having us. And, it's been truly a joy for us to have you be a part of our journey as well. So we are excited to be here.
Yes, and so, I'm a Maryland girl, I'm a Prince George's County girl, and so I'm just excited that this event is taking place right here in our county. But for those who may be meeting you for the first time, even though you've been on here quite some time, um, they may not know your full story. So give us a refresher on Narciso Wine Cellar and what inspired you and Dahlia to start this journey.
Wow. So, Narciso Wine Cellar again is a boutique winery. Our owners are Dahlia and I. And so it is a boutique winery that produces 100% Maryland wines. In terms of our story, how much time do you have? But I'll be short. So, our family is originally from the Caribbean coast of Nicaragua, specifically Bluefields, and where there is a tradition of making fruit wines to share with family and friends during the holidays. That includes like, orange wines, cashew wines, etc. And so our dad used to make those wines to do exactly that, share with family and friends. So that was our first introduction to wines. And then fast forward to about maybe 10 years ago, Dahlia became an empty nester and wanted to continue that tradition of sharing with family and friends. Little does she know that, I had something else in mind. So I started asking her, I'm like, hey, family and friends are really enjoying this. You know, this should be a business. And she had zero interest in doing that. But obviously, here we are today.
Here we
It's like
are.
able to convince her to do this. And so that's how we got started by just wanting to expand, if you will, our family. Now it's not just, our dad and our mom and, our neighbors in Nicaragua, but it was now let's make this a bigger table and invite more folks to come along and enjoy just some good tasting wine.
No, I absolutely love that. And for those of you who do not know Dahlia, I call her the mad scientist. Because she's always in the lab mixing up the different grapes and how to, the way that you guys do things.
Yeah,
And
she definitely comes up with the profiles and try to figure out, what can we do that is in a way traditional in making the wines, but then non-traditional profiles. So
yes,
definitely.
yes, and then one of the faves and one of your original midnight,
Yeah.
that also has such a beautiful story that brings along Bluefields in a bottle and in what you're sharing in the profile and in what it's all about. So tell us a bit about Midnight. I love that
I
one. I
know
love
you
the
love it.
story.
Well, I hope I tell it right for Dahlia's sake. But Midnight is one that is kind of nearest and dearest to our heart because one, it is first kind of a nod to our dad in that he was making, would make fruit wines. And so when we started making wines, midnight was like, okay, we want to have something that represents a bit of Bluefields and that tradition of, you know, the during May, during the month of fertility and the rainy season home and just the whole backstory about how that plays into the culture of Bluefields. And so it's a month where we celebrate again. Fertility is also a month where we are talking about harvest, the rainy season,
Yeah.
everything. And so one of the traditions is having maple, right? It's a celebration for the entire month of May. And so we also call it, Tulululu, right? Is a
Mhm.
traditional dance that we do where it connects the neighborhoods, some of the older neighborhoods in Bluefields. One of the celebrations, which lasts seems like forever, all night, everyone is having fun partying, is forming like this community that gets together and goes from one neighborhood to the next by forming this, a tunnel or an arc, if you will, where people are dancing and it happens, all the way past midnight, really. And so that sense of community
Yeah.
is what really inspired us to name this wine Midnight, right? If Daya was here, she'll say, well, you cut off the name, Cindy, because it was supposed to be a longer name. It was supposed to be Midnight at Tulululu. But I'm like, I don't know how all of that would fit on a bottle, but on the label. But Midnight really now embodies everything that we really try to share with our community here. That it
Yeah.
is about sharing that experience. It is about getting together. It is about working together and then just being able to just sit back and relax. So Midnight is one of our faves, and it has proven to be the fave of many other people as well. And so we definitely will be pouring that this Sunday.
Oh man, I cannot wait. And as you talk about the story and everything that I know about you, one thing that I've always appreciated about Narciso is that you've never been focused on just your own winery. Even coming into it, you started it with a circle of friends and family, and now you are a champion for Maryland, for Maryland wines, for the other local businesses that are out here. And so let's just go into how you came to partner with Maryland Wineries Association to even put this event on. And what I love, again, the name again, I love the name Wineries Without Walls. And that signifies something very special. But, if you're from the DMV area, DC also had School Without Walls,
Yes. Yes.
which was a place where people that think creatively
Yes.
would attend school there. And so, that signified the name. So,
Hmm.
talk to us about the name and how it all came about.
Well, so the name, let's see. So this event really grew out of a simple question like, so how do we create opportunities for producers who don't have the same visibility as wineries with a tasting room? How do we do that as a winery without walls ourselves? Our philosophy and our business model has always been that we would go and reach out to our consumers and, if you will, bringing the wine, kind of the tasting room experience to you, right? So that's been our model, connecting always with our community. And so I said, well, why can't we do this on a larger scale? Why is it that now that the Maryland Wineries Association has members with similar model as ours as boutique wineries, you know, no, we don't have a vineyard for you to visit, and a tasting room, but it doesn't mean that we can't give you that experience. So the Wineries Without Walls is basically a first of its kind, experience created in partnership with the Maryland Wineries Association. We are part of the Maryland Wineries Association, and the purpose was really to shine a spotlight, if you will, on
Yes.
On Maryland's, wineries and, cideries and meaderies that don't have that traditional tasting room. So, the name is a play on words, because it literally means the meaning of not having, right, a tasting room, but also a mindset, to tear down those barriers, that kind of hinders us from like connecting with consumers and just inviting everyone to have an open mind to learn about what these wineries have to offer. There may be something new, something innovative. So that is kind of the whole concept of the Wineries Without Walls is to bring everyone together. Uh, but particularly also with that the collaboration that you mentioned, right?
Yes.
That this is also an event that is not just about the poor, it's also about creating opportunities. So we wanted to work together with other industries. So whether that is hospitality, but more importantly, focusing on making those connections with local restaurants, with the venue. So all of this was very intentional and making sure that we were keeping it within our community. And that way, we collaborate and we all work together because I do believe that is how we are able to succeed.
Yes. Well, and there's so many themes running through what you just talked about. But of course, the overarching too that I'm hearing, and especially because I'm a part of a lot of different organizations, same as yourself. And, to really benefit from being a part of an
Hmm.
organization, a community, whatever it is that you're a part of, it requires you to be engaged,
Absolutely.
and it requires you to show up, to bring your ideas, to step up and say, "Hey, not only do I have an idea, but I want to make this happen. So who wants to come along for the ride?"
Yeah, for
Yes.
sure. Yeah, definitely. I absolutely agree with that. You can join an organization, you can say you pay your dues, you do whatever, but if you're not active, if you don't contribute, then what are you really doing with that, right?
Yeah.
For us, being a part of the Maryland Wineries Association has really been a huge help in terms of being one, just gaining access to resources, right? But more importantly, two, being a part of a community where
Yes.
you can learn from each other. And then, as you mentioned, now that we're here, we have access to these resources, we're making these connections. Now, what can we do to contribute, right, to the industry? And so it is something that you have to be intentional about it. And this event was something that has been an idea, that I had a while ago, but to me, it was just basically taking what we were already doing, specifically with Narciso, to then say, "Okay, let's just scale this up and so that we can do this and bring other wineries, to be a part of it as well."
Yes, exactly. And that is exactly how you've grown,
Yes.
Narciso, from the beginning, and not rushing to. And I think that's a piece of it too, because when we are experiencing so much success, sometimes you have to be very intentional about, how do I see this growing and what can I really sustain? What can
Yes.
I really sustain? Like, I just had a conversation about that, about being ready for the growth,
Yes.
and sometimes we have to be very honest with ourselves because it can look attractive to let's go and hit that gas. And sometimes you just have to step back and see where am I really trying to grow? And so what I really like is the collaboration piece,
Mhm.
and so let's segue into that and into some of the other folks you're bringing along for the ride. Well, first and foremost, I want to talk about the venue because
Yes.
it is a beautiful venue that is here in Prince George's County. It
Yes.
is new. So
Mhm.
tell us about that.
So in terms of the venue, it's Celebrations Event Rentals, and so they have several spaces. The main one that started out in Bowie, but then, as you mentioned, they recently opened up a larger venue uh, in Upper Marlboro, and that is at Celebrations at the Barn House, and it's really a beautiful event space. And so, to what you were saying earlier about collaboration and those relationships and partnerships, we have been working with them and collaborating since day one. So, literally, we did our launch at their space, their smaller room, and then we had our one-year, anniversary in the larger, space, and so I guess it makes sense that now we're in their even larger space for this event. So we've grown along with them as well, but they've always been super, supportive. Hasey Garcia and her family have been super supportive always, and so we were just really excited to be able again to continue that journey together. By now, not only did they just like open their new event space, but this is also an inaugural event, so it's a first for both of us. So we're excited to be working with them again.
No, what a testimony to, the work that you have put in, but not just that, how you are able to partner with people and that seed will grow, honey. No, I love it. Girl, you are such I just admire everything about what you and Dahlia embody, just seeing the journey and also being a part of it, watching it grow and telling the story and talking about how you're bringing these people along. So, so let's talk about some of the other partners that'll be there. There are other wineries,
Yes.
and so talk to us about who's going to be there.
Well, in terms of the other participating wineries, there will be 9 of us, together. So we have, Bobisa Wines, and they are definitely, brand new, and but the owners, Derek, they make, a mead wine, which it is really, really good. So I am really excited for like folks to try that out. Then there is Kingfisher Cellars, and they too make mead. So you'll have different flavors, if you will. And that's the thing that I really enjoy about wines anyway, that even if we make the same varietal, if we make if Vidal grows really well, for example, in Maryland. So even if I make a Vidal and you make a Vidal, the tasting, the profile will be different. It'll taste different. And so that's what I love about that. So I'm excited about having both of them there so we can get different flavors of mead. And then we have Misfit Winery also that will be there. Operations Bubbles will be there. So they have a bubbly a red, which would be really, really fun to be able to try that out. And then we have also Rose Garden Wines that is here in Prince George's County as well. And we have 722 Wine Company, the Cross Vines, Tipsy Teacher. I think some folks have probably seen them at festivals. So we'll definitely have a lot of wines for you to sample and hopefully not only get some of the regulars that you already enjoy, but discover something new, which reflects, you know, what Prince George's and Maryland has to offer in terms of our beverage industry.
And so a handful of these are new for me as well. And I believe that this is gonna be my first experience with mead wine,
Ooh.
so I'm excited about that. Not only are you going to have tastings, but there are gonna be other experiences there as well. You kinda touched on it about tastings, and so what other things can we expect?
Well, in thinking about that, again, the spirit of collaboration, it was like, okay, So we wanted to have, restaurants or, catering companies that again are here within our community. And so we partnered up with Vino 301 with Leslie Freelo to lead the food and food pairing section of this, which just sold out so quickly. It was really crazy that there was just high demand for that experience. And so we will be we're partnering with Sunrise Restaurant.
Oh, nice.
Yes, so
Yes.
they'll be, providing the food, so a Caribbean twist, if you will, with the food and pairing, and then also with celebrations, catering, so they provide, like, all-inclusive packages with food, venue, rentals, everything, so the catering arm of celebrations will be there, offering, food as well for the that wine tasting and food pairing experience, and then we'll also have, um, our bartender, our favorite, Blush Beige, bartending, and Jessica, again, we've worked together in the past, and she just creates this beautiful, layout and experiences, with cocktails, and so some of the wines that will be featured there will be offering those as cocktails, and then she'll also have mocktails in our lounge, if you will, our cocktail lounge. And so the purpose of that, is to give different options for people to enjoy
Yeah.
the wines. It's hot, so maybe you might want a rosé, but maybe you might want a spritzer or something lighter. And so just providing different ways to enjoy the wines is we thought it would be fun to be able to do that. And of course, we'll have music as well to kind of set the vibes for this experience. So overall, it'll be you'll find something, fun in each corner of the venue, so I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to that, yeah.
Listen, I'm going to be downing that rosé because it is hot. It is hot, and I need something light and refreshing.
Yes, yes, and so she's really good at that, so definitely, that'll be a fun experience.
And so, I have to ask this question. Why Prince George's County? Why did you want to make the county where you launched the inaugural event?
Well, I mean, there is a long answer and a short answer, right? So, when you think about Prince George's County, first of all, it is one of Maryland's most, like, diverse and entrepreneurial and, fast-growing communities are here. And so it's a place where from God, now we've been here for so long as well, where innovation and culture and, agriculture, all these things really come together in meaningful ways. And so we wanted to be a part of that and contribute to that, for us, the county seeing how the county has invested in growing really its, the food and beverage and tourism and hospitality sectors,
Yeah.
to me, that just made it an ideal place to introduce this new experience of, Wineries Without Walls. And then, of course, for Narciso Wine Cellar, Prince George's County is also home,
Yes.
right? So we, um, have our warehouse is in Prince George's County, so we have built really our business here, as you mentioned, through partnerships and, with local organizations, restaurant retailers. Um, and that is exactly what you will see at that event. I mentioned building that is not just about pouring, but also about opportunities. And so one of the really fun aspect of this is the fact that we'll have retailers there who will be able to sample these wines and then make a decision, right? And they get to see what Prince George's County,
Mm,
but also what Maryland has to offer in terms of this new model of wineries, right?
yeah.
Sometimes on the business side, you know, trying to get into distribution or get your wines on the shelves can be challenging. Some of the retailers and distributors, they probably get a lot of emails and requests, sample my wines, do this, do that. So that's one of the other objectives of this was to then bring all these different resources to the winery. So yes, we are sharing with our community, but then having the people that can make those decisions right
Yeah.
there and making that connection is also helpful. So it just made sense for us to do this. So launching this inaugural event here just felt like a natural choice for us.
Yeah, and I think that that is so important as well to have folks that can make decisions
Mhm.
about distributing and featuring and having the wine in their store or
Yeah.
whatever you may have. People that can offer resources be in the
Mhm.
room as well. So no, that's wonderful. Um, and I know we're sold out, but let's talk about the support after Sunday or how people, they may not be able to attend, but they can still support the brands that are going to be there and the Maryland wines. How can folks discover these wines and the folks that are going to be there at the event today, past Sunday?
Well, if you don't mind, I just wanna mention one other thing, that you mentioned, being sold out. That the outpouring of support has been just really humbling. When you set out to do something, at least for me, in thinking about, "Okay, this is what we wanna do," you know that people can actually say no. They don't have to say yes. And we've spent these years just working towards building these relationships. But still, with putting on an event, you just never know how it's going to be received. So, selling out the inaugural Wineries Without Walls experience means so much more to us than just filling the room. It also tells me that people believe in what we're trying to build. And, when we first imagined this event, as I said, we weren't sure how people were going to respond to it. But the fact that the community has embraced it so
Yeah.
like enthusiastically tells us that there's a real desire, right, for people to discover local wineries and to meet the people behind the wines. And to your question, to support small businesses. So one way to continue that, even if you can't make it on Sunday, is one, something as simple as when you go into a retailer or whether it's as a restaurant or someplace else to say, hey, what local wines do you carry? And ask for us. Ask
Hmm.
for it. That's one way to support. Of course, going to our website, we all have a way of for you to purchase wines from us. But definitely, these events, taking advantage of them. But, it is one of the things that to me, they're just different ways of doing this and just giving folks different options to be able to enjoy the wines is what I'm really trying to do with this event. So they each, of course, have their website e-commerce. You can purchase directly from some of them. Everyone has a different model, so I don't want to speak for everyone, but certainly everyone has their social media where you can connect with them. And if they're in retailers, it'll tell you where to find them. So I encourage you to take a moment, explore all of their websites, and so to be able to again enjoy what they have to offer.
Yeah, and you certainly have built quite a following, a strong community, a strong support system. So it's just beautiful to see them turn up for you as well. And so I want to get into something fun.
Oh,
I'm
uh-oh.
going to call this quick pour. It's going to be a few fun questions, and you just say whatever comes to your mind.
Uh-oh. Let me take a sip of water.
Okay. Okay, so first one, red or white?
Goodness. Okay, white.
Sweet or dry?
Semi-sweet? Was
Listen,
that was that one of the options? I don't know.
a good balance is always a thing, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Favorite wine and food pairing?
Oh my gosh. Anyone that has been to any of our tastings knows that I always get stuck on Serenity with dessert. Like,
Mhm. Yeah.
Serenity is one of our semi-sweet wines, and I would argue it's probably our sweetest red. And but it pairs so well with so many different things, and I'm always talking about my little experiments at home, which my favorite one is with brownies and, with chocolate, and it just pairs really well, but I can also have my charcuterie board and pull out Serenity, and it pairs perfectly. So, definitely but one of my favorites is Serenity with brownies.
Listen, you're giving all the in the middle answers.
I know.
Okay, well, I already feel like
Brownies,
I know
brownies,
how you
brownies.
the first wine someone new to Maryland should try.
Midnight.
Of course, that's the
No,
number one.
but for us, I would say midnight, but overall, I would say, like, Vidal, as I mentioned before, just grows really well overall, and so whenever we're doing tastings, I do ask people that, like, "Have you ever had, like, tried Maryland wines?" And then specifically Vidal, because it's just really nice, refreshing, easy.
Yeah, and representative of, because of the way it grows,
Yeah, the
representative
terroir
of
here. Yeah,
yes,
here.
yes. Okay, last one. One word that describes wineries without walls.
Powerful.
Mm. I'm with you on that one. Amazing, Cindy. Again, you guys are doing wonderful work of bringing people together. And so, congratulations on an incredible inaugural event. And thank you for
You.
sharing the vision behind Wineries Without Walls.
No, thank you so much for giving us the space and platform to talk about this. Hopefully this is you'll be talking about this next year and years to come. And
Yes.
I'm hoping that one of the things that folks do walk away from is that mentioning the word powerful is that I hope Wineries Without Walls becomes known for opening doors and for
Yes.
making those connections. So I appreciate you offering the space and time for us to talk about it. Thank you so much.
Listen, building up the wine trail here in Prince George's County. I love it. I'm down for that.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes.
Where can folks connect with you?
You can connect with us directly on our website at narcissowinecellar.com and on social media at Narciso Wine Cellar.
Wonderful. So, folks, for those that are attending this weekend, I will see you on Sunday. Be ready because I want to talk to you.
Yes, dress comfortably and bring your party shoes. We're going to have fun.
We're going to have a great time.
Yes.
And as always, thank you for joining us for another edition of Behind the Event. I'm Rose Johnson with the Spotlight DMV, and we'll see you next time.